so I share that by way of this piece about thy faith hath made thee whole, because I think that has a lot to do with how the other end of the spectrum is this idea of sabotage. That often people will share with me that they feel they have this tendency, that they sometimes have this pattern. They'll do a whole bunch of work and progress and move forward, and then right when they're on the brink of some extraordinary breakthrough that's going to move them to a whole new level in their life, in their relationship, in their career, they do something that sets them way, way back. Now, how I articulate this is that what people often say is that this is too good, you know? That things get too good. Anybody ever? Things start to get too good, and it's like we're on very thin ice or really way out there on the skinny branches, and we get afraid. And so what people do is that they blow up the whole game. Right? So, you know, people say this is too good to be true. It will never last. Now, I want you to know when something is so good, what we should be saying is, this is so good, it must be true. You know, that this is the good that God intends for me. And you know, when bad happens, people say, oh my God, this is the way my life is going to be from here on out. It's all downhill from here. It's just going to be hell in a handbasket from now on. You know, I'll never be happy again. And see, so when bad happens, what we should say is, this too shall pass. So when good happens, we say, this is so good it must be true. And when bad happens, we say, well, this is just going to pass. This is just a very temporary stop here. So with regards to sabotage, one of the things that occurs to me is that our job to allow ourselves to continue to proceed and make progress and have good in our life is that you have to accept who you are. Accept does not understand. You know, accept does not mean change. It means to approve of yourself totally. That our wholeness, you know, exists. It was given by God, and we can approve of that without approving of all of our individual characteristics. So like we say is that, you know, spiritually, there's perfection within you. Humanly, we still have lots of rough edges that we're working on, but that's why we're in this school. You know, so if you see yourself as you are right now and allowing ourselves to just be, that's the acceptance piece. You know, when I was a kid, I was very fond of a cartoon. Perhaps you were as well. Popeye. Remember Popeye? And what did Popeye had great metaphysics. Popeye would say, I am what I am, and that's all that I am. Do you remember that? I am what I am, and that's all that I am. You know, and so between that and eating spinach, I should have awesome arms, but I'm not there yet. So, but you know, things are working in consciousness. Years ago, I used to know and do some work with a woman. Her name was Vitura Papke, and she was Ernest Holmes' practitioner. And so I liked that idea of being close to the source. I wanted to be close to, you know, where the juice was. So I would work with her. And one day I was sitting with her, and I was, I don't know, bemoaning someone who was not behaving as I thought they should, and going on and on and on about that. And she was this tiny woman with white hair, and she just had this extraordinary, loving consciousness. And finally, at some point, I guess after she felt I had gone on long enough, she said, "Dear, are you through?" I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so, yeah. And she said, "Do you like everything that you do all of the time?" Well, no. And she went, "And God still loves you. Amazing, isn't it?" I was like, wow. So, you know, to her point, what she was pointing to was that, you know, that even though I didn't like everything I did all of the time, I was still loved by God, so maybe I should have a little more self-acceptance of myself, and thereby also a little more acceptance of other people. So you don't have to be perfect before you accept yourself. And see, I think this has been part of our training from very, very early on. that, once you're perfect, then it would be okay for you to accept yourself. But, not being perfect has not actually contributed to anybody's growth, has it? Being reminded how not perfect you are again and again and again, and you do better, and then eventually you'll be acceptable. Oh,